Welcome back to the Mackem in the Middle podcast after the last league game of the season. And like I said last week, hopefully, God forbid, the last League One league fixture that I will ever have to endure. Hopefully so. Did finish 1-0 away to Morecambe in a game that both sides probably went into thinking they had to win to achieve what they wanted in the season. Obviously, Morecambe avoiding relegation, Sunderland getting into the playoffs. And in the end, it turned out neither really had to happen. In Sunderland's point of view, getting a win and keeping that unbeaten run, which I think is now 13 games, could be 14, I'm not entirely sure, is important. But as always with Sunderland, there is still negatives, and there's one massive negative from today's game, which we will get onto eventually. But first and foremost, John, we are in the playoffs, but today's game was absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was. I think we're at the end of the season where it's a bit of a, even though we're on a good run of form, I think it's still a bit of a slog. You could see that today. The performance on as a whole wasn't really great. It was just you're talking about hopefully the last League One fixture. But today it just summed it up, didn't it? The officiating was crap. The opposition were crap. The stadium was crap. Our performance, to be fair, was crap. And yeah, let's hope we can get out of the.
Hopefully we do get out of the playoffs. I'm not sure where you've gone there, but we'll let you go for that. But it was, I mean, I'm sure I heard someone say it was a sellout today, Kyle, but it definitely wasn't.
Apparently it broke their attendance record.
It did.
But
I think it was just over 5,000, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just that's one of the aspects of League One that I'm tired of. I'm tired of being everyone else's big occasion. But listen, it was a tough run in. I think we can look at Alex Neil's kind of culmination of the last 10, 11 games. And boy, do I remember Michael Bowers reassuring me that, oh, don't worry, the other top 6 teams, like, no one's going to just keep winning. Like, people are going to drop out of form. Sure as hell did not feel like it, because it felt like literally everybody won every single game. And it forced us to stay switched on, and credit to the team we did today. Yeah, it wasn't that great, but I think it's been a long season, but not done yet. So 3 games left.
Obviously, I think John's back with us. Just in the game in general, John, I think, especially at halftime, I get the sense that Alex Neil was either told or saw the scorelines elsewhere. Obviously, Plymouth getting absolutely hammered and we're down to 10 men. I think it was 3-0 at halftime, down to 10 men. So Sunderland's place in the playoff was pretty much sealed at halftime, regardless of what happened in the second half in the Morecambe game. And you could sort of sense that Sunderland knew that in the second half. We took Stewart off. We ended the game without a striker on the pitch. We never really looked like we were ever really going to do much in the second half, especially. It was just a game that just kind of drawed out a little bit.
Yeah, it was just like, it's the case of, we have to play 46 games, and that was just the last one we just had to get done. I think them as well, their results were absolutely going for them as well. So even though even though they're quite a poor team, they actually looked like they had to have a bit of a go. But it just didn't really, I wouldn't have said we had a real go, and nothing really came off for us. So to be fair, it was quite a horrible game. Thank God it wasn't picked for Sky. But yeah, it's in fairness to us, how many times have we gone to just pick out a Morecambe and just gone there and just gone through the motions but not got the job done. I can live with going through the motions and poor performances, but as long as you're getting the results, I don't really care. It is just one of them. The amount of times in League One we've gone to a place, gone through the motions, they've upped it a bit, and they've done us. Whereas today, I still think we were relatively comfortable, despite, in fairness, being quite poor. But we've got those bits of quality that will win us games on the turn. And that's, at the moment, I think there's not too much to be worried about, because we're just finding a knack of getting it done, despite not really, I wouldn't have said, playing sort of super well.
Yeah. One positive in regards to the team, Kyle Mcgeady was back on the bench. He's been out for what feels like
The whole season.
I don't actually know
Yeah.
how long he's actually been out. It's 4 months, 5 months maybe. But
Yeah,
he's
November,
back
October,
involved.
November.
Yeah, but he's back involved now. He was on the bench, he didn't come on, which was a little bit of a shame. But he's back involved. And although I think he is starting to lose his legs a little bit, like we said at the start of the season, he's still a player that like Pritchard, like Embleton, like multiple other players that having him available, where able to come off the bench in the last 10 minutes of a game, obviously going into the playoffs now, he is a big game player. He has that quality to make something out of nothing. And like I say, although he's probably not going to start the games in the playoffs, having him back fit is a big bonus.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he would have gotten on if we didn't have to use an early sub, which I'm sure we'll get to and whatnot. But yeah, it's good to have him back. It seems good on him to stay. It's obvious that he hasn't been a distraction. He's been training hard. He's back, and if anyone's going to show up in a big game, you would hope it'd be him. But it's good to have options back, especially when we're losing other options across the pitch on different aspects of the field. But yeah, it's good to see him back. Hopefully we can just get some momentum, and we have roughly about 6 days before the next match, so it's just gotta rest up and focus on for that.
Yeah. Well, in the game we took an early lead, John, which it wasn't, but it felt like the only shot on target in the game. It was the only real chance of the game, I think. It was a slip at the back from Morecambe, which allowed Broadhead in through on goal, and it's a good finish from Broadhead. I think I probably should have checked this before I say it, but I think it's 12 goals he's on this season now, possibly more. But in fact, we'll get on to the injury after. But just on the goal, a good finish, and he's shown why he's so highly rated, why he's still contracted to a Premier League team.
Yeah, we know he's got that ability. It's just like you say, it's such a shame that he's got a bad record with injuries, and obviously that's hence why he's here and not in the in the Everton sort of setup. But yeah, he's dropped the shoulder and then straight for. And as soon as he went 1-on-1 with the keeper, I probably fancied him more than anyone else in our squad to sort of get that and slot that in, and it was an absolutely superb finish. Obviously, you were saying about the injury, it's such a shame because I think he does bring, even though at times I think he has been frustrating for us in a few games recently. You can't deny that he brings such a good dimension to our attacking threat, and as soon as he went off, it just looked all sixes and sevens for me, and it's so frustrating that one player can come in and just make the difference.
Yeah.
Whereas you take him out of there, and I think we're a different proposition without him. And it just doesn't. For some reason, it just doesn't seem to work when he's not there. So that's maybe food for thought. Coming up against Sheffield Wednesday in 2 games. But yeah, it's, if we got the chance to sign him, obviously we'd have to check his all the things in the background. But if there's a deal there to be done, then it is a bit of a no-brainer.
I think it comes down as well, though, how much Everton want to let him go, and like I say, you're taking into account the injury record that he does have. I think that's now the 3rd, maybe 4th injury he's had this season. The quality's there. He's a very good player, and I'd probably say he's far too good for this league. But at what point does the injury record play into the hands of Sunderland in terms of how much they want to pay for him?
Yeah, that's it, and you've got to then look at it, because I'm sure the club do with their data, analysis, that what are we, what we're paying for him and what we're paying for him weekly. What is he justifying us in the squad? Is there other things better that we can go for and do the same job with less money, or the same money that will give us a more better output? And that's I think that's the sort of thing the club will be looking at. But there's one thing we can't question, and that's his quality. But to be fair, the kid does need. He does need a bit of luck. You only have to go back to the Arsenal game, and we were doing really well when he was on the pitch, and obviously
could have been a very different season had he not got injured in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all if buts and maybes. But yeah, we know we've got a cracking player there, but a lot of things are going to have to fall into place, I think, for us to commit to getting him, because obviously there must be an issue there. I didn't really see him, barring the goal, it wasn't sort of sin to let him through every time. So maybe there's there must obviously be some sort of weakness there. And I think every time he starts, it's a little bit, we don't know, or, it's sometimes a little bit niggly. And Alex Neil says he can't last this long. And there just always seems to be something. And that'll always be in the back of your mind when, he does play. But, this ability-wise, just fantastic player.
Yeah. And obviously, like we say, Kyle, his ability is, what he brings to the team will be a miss. I'd be very surprised, given it's a hamstring injury, if he plays on Friday at the very least. He might not play again this season, depending on how bad it is. But it's not just how good he is to the team, it's also the fact that now leaves us with one goal scorer in the entire squad.
Is that all? Oh,
just one. Obviously, you've got likes of Pritchard, Embleton,
right,
who will chip in with goals here and there.
But in
terms of a natural goal scorer, it now leaves us with Ross Stewart, who, as much credit as I will give him, hasn't been scoring as of late.
Right. Yeah, and I know he missed out on the gold boot just because Will Keane just he went out and got it, I guess, and so he's just, it's been a long season for him as well. I think he's been very productive, but the service wasn't necessarily there today. But he's still extremely important, and he's going to be even more important in these last few games, because I know basically each side that's in the playoffs does have a big back line, and he does take up a lot of that attention. So it's going to be important, but it's up to Alex Neil now to figure out how we can. I think the solution or the answer is in the squads in some capacity. I think we have the talented players up front, even just to slot something into to at least get something done productive. But I don't know. It's going to be tough, but it's up to Alex Neil. He's got to look at the squad, figure out what our best formation is going to be moving forward, because we don't have a lot of time to mess about, and we've got to figure it out. And someone's got to step up, really, and figure out who wants to pick up that slack. And hopefully Broadhead will be available when we make it to Wembley. So
hopefully so. Very similar to the last two games, John. I'd love to be able to sit here and talk the next 15 minutes about the game. But legit, just absolutely nothing happened in the game. There wasn't any, big tackles flying in that we could say, who was that red card? There wasn't any, goal line clearances, any clear chances for either team. Like I say, it was a game that really did look like at half-time, both sides looked at the scorelines, realised they'd already achieved what they set out to achieve, and just, I don't want to say give up, but couldn't care less, really, what happened in the game.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's just one of those, it's almost just like we're quite solid at the back, happy to let them have a go, and they're just not good enough sort of going forward. So it was a bit of a, and then you take Stewart off, it's a bit of a null and void game. Sort of on the whole, to be fair, I thought we were really, really poor in terms of passing. You could see Neil was fuming at times, like just saying, just zip it around. And there were small passages where we did zip it around, and we looked at an absolute level above, but it just wasn't consistent enough. But again, you could put that down to, we sort of knew we were in the playoffs. We're not really going for goal difference or anything like that, and they were happy with every other result. So it's just one of those results that will just sort of fizzle out. I think one of their players was quite lucky to stay on the pitch after the tackle. That I think when the loose ball broke, I think he went on Evans. I think it was quite a high tackle, but it's, the game's done and dusted now. So we'll take the 3 points, and we'll move on, and no one's going to remember the performance in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, we'll go straight into player ratings, and then we'll get into kind of what happens from now in terms of playoffs. But we'll start with player ratings, and I think this is going to be very similar to the Rotherham game in terms of there might be one number that dominates today. Anthony Patterson, nothing to do, 6 out of 10. John?
Same, yeah, 6 out of 10. Again, looking a lot better on the floor as well, passing the ball out and not panicking. So he's, to be fair, he's turned into a very good goalkeeper, despite probably being, third choice at the start of the season, and he's seen off the both,
arguably fourth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Hoffman, Burge.
Yeah. So fair play to him, and now he's a shoo-in now for the number one spot going forward. So yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah. And again, Kyle had nothing to do, but like I think I don't know if it was Mike, I don't know who it was that said it. It might have been John, to be fair, that said it. Although he had nothing to do in the game, again, there's just this confidence you have that when the ball does go near him, that he'll deal with it.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't strike me. He's not like a worldly. He's not going to be making these incredible saves left and right. But the credit to the back line, I guess, for not really, putting him in the line of fire, really. So, but yeah, he does everything he's supposed to do. He's confident. You can tell with. It seems like with both feet, he had some good clearances here and there. But yeah, six is about all I could really muster up for that one.
In fairness, he does pull off the odd worldie if you watch Oxford.
Right.
I spoke to David Priest after the game.
True.
He was like, the two saves, absolutely out of this world, especially when he clawed off the line.
That's true. Yep. Yeah. So credit to him. Yeah, but it's just the less of those saves that he has to make, I think the better. To be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I think that's a good sign as well, though, John, isn't it? You think since Alex Neil's came in, the amount of times we've probably talked about Patterson or whoever played in goal in that particular game and just went, you had nothing to do, 6 out of 10. Compared to earlier in the season, he would be giving Hoffman a 7 or an 8 because he had to pull off, 6 or 7 saves, or would be giving him a 4 or 5 because he's let 2 or 3 in. The fact that every single week Patterson has nothing to do is just a testament to how well we are actually defending, even if it does look a little bit shaky at times.
Yeah, exactly. Protection is the best thing, that you need. And we're probably doing Patterson maybe a disservice by just going, well, nothing to do. He didn't really do anything, did he? A 6, but I'll take that all, I'll take that every day of the week. And then that's where your top goalkeepers come from, and then the one time he does get called into action and he's there to meet it, sort of superbly, which he has done. So, fair play to Neil and to Patterson.
Yeah. Billy White, again, very little to do defensively, but what he did well. So again, 6, John.
Who was that, Bailey Wright?
Yeah.
I'll probably go over 6. It probably would have been a 7. I think we did certainly touched on it myself midweek. There's a few aimless balls that's just a bit frustrating. But again, I think that's other people not showing for the ball sort of, into feet a little bit quicker. And then the ball wasn't sticking, so it was coming back. So I was a little bit frustrated by that because he's the one they always give the ball to distribute. And I was a bit frustrated by that. So it might have been a 7 if distribution was a bit better. But solid enough in the tackle and did his job well.
Yeah. Kyle?
Yeah, I think his experience showed big time against a really physical and good player in Stockton. He was kind of timing his flops correctly. I mean, I think some of them was just Stockton being over aggressive, but when you have that type of player, you play to the ref. Really, I mean, the ref was giving those calls, so anytime there's a little nudge in the back, you're gonna you have to be in a good position first, and I think he was. So yeah, he's just been so solid every single week with Bailey Wright. So I know he's Michael's favorite player, and he's quickly becoming one of mine as well, just because he's just no nonsense.
I wonder who your favorite could be.
Yeah, yeah, it might surprise you. But they're all my favorites at this point. Just so. But yeah, no, 6 it's about as solid as it can get from Bailey Wright, really.
Yeah. Again, Danny Barr, 6, John.
Yeah, solid enough. Just obviously brought in to be, just a bit of a brick wall, and that's what it is. To be fair, sticks his head in there, got stuck in, and we'll take that. We've probably been crying out for that for arguably 4 years, and he's finally here, just a basic central defender, shithouse unit, and that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yep, that's I think that sums it up. He's just big, he's physical. He won a lot of headers today. I think him and Bailey Wright, that pairing is as good as you can really find in this division, to be honest. As far as your physicality goes, it's not super technical, but you don't need to be in this league at times. So yeah, I think 6 is very good for him.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien played as the left side of centre back, I think, really today. Again, did fairly well in the role that he was in, did nothing wrong, did nothing spectacular. So once again, 6, John.
Yeah, same 6. Again, solid enough, good in the tackle, just doing what he needs to do. Got forward maybe a couple of times, and doing a job, and we'll take that for now.
Yeah, Kyle.
If I were to be honest, I'd probably give him a 5, just because there's just so many times where he just kicked the ball out of bounds or just hoofed it up. But he's playing out of position, so I can't really fault him for that. He shouldn't have to be back there right now, to be honest. So
I don't know.
I
I
will
don't
give
know if you can ever say Lugo 9 is out of position no matter where he
right.
plays, to be
Yeah,
honest.
you could be in goal. Yeah, geez. Yeah, you could be in goal, and I would still say you probably earn a 6. So but no, I think with that in mind, I think a 6 is fair. But it's frustrating just because we're once again, having to play these players not in their natural position, and it's just why does this happen at the worst possible times? It feels so. But yeah, 6 for 09. He got in there, got it done.
Yeah. Gooch again, 6, didn't really create anything, but probably did more defending than he did attacking in the game, and defended fairly well, John. So 6.
Yeah, same 6 for me. Again, just an industrious display, like away from home, just winning the ball, and yeah, it's not really notice, anything else in this game. So yeah, run of the mill 6.
Yeah, Kyle, your favourite?
Yeah, a very Goochman performance is I think the best way to put that. Grafted hard, helped back a lot, and yeah, I think he's what he's about every single game, and I think he brought it again today. So just wish we could have done a little bit more offensively, but I just can't even remember any of our attacks, to be honest. So, and I think with the formation change, I think he ended up having to drop back a little bit deeper. So, but yeah, 6 again from Gooch.
Yeah. Have you got a Sunderland shirt with Gooch on the back yet? I'd be surprised if you hadn't.
No, and I've thought about it, and I think there was even
Go on.
a U.S. men's national team player last name Gooch too, so I think it would kind of fit the mold here. But yeah, it just feels kind of weird to walk around with. I think 99.9% of people would not understand who it is. So
At least the number's 11. It could be a lot worse.
yeah, 69. Yeah.
Corey Evans, probably the only player I'm not going to give a 6. I'd probably go with a 7, John. Obviously, I think it was his assist for Broadhead's goal. Put some good tackles in, made some good blocks, defensive plays as well. Just a very Corey Evans performance in a game that was very scrappy, so 7.
Yeah, same again for 7. I thought he was again solid in the tackle, and actually a couple of things that really impressed me today is he was actually getting his foot on the ball and sort of turning forward and going forward and playing forward, and actually ushering others forward. I can't remember who he bollocked off, but someone, I think it was Bailey Wright, who didn't step into into sort of 10-yard space. And Corey Evans was going mental at him, and that's what you want to see because previous games sort of maybe in the Johnson reign and early Neil days, he was very safe, very defensive, and we know he's had his ups and downs with a few people in the crowd and stuff. But today playing forward, play on the front foot, that's what you want from your captain. He's straight in the face of the ref. Again, we've been crying out for a captain to be like that. So yeah, today very impressed, and yeah, definitely a high 7.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed out everything. I think he played really well today. I think he's played really well for the last few games, and it's if there's anyone we needed to come into form at this time of the season, it was obviously Corey Evans, and he has. And yeah, some of his passes have just been tremendous, and he's just got excellent vision too. I remember even last game he had a through ball to Pritchard, which was perfect, and it's good to see that, and I think he's really evolved into the role and taking the leadership role in this team at a much needed time. So yeah, 7. I think he was a standout player for a game that didn't have a lot of them.
Yeah. Embleton again, John, 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 5, actually. I thought he was dreadful today. I didn't think he was very good at all. There's so many times he frustrated me for someone who's so good on the ball. I just don't think there was the odd time he would settle us down and sort of zip it around, which sometimes just overplayed, overpassed, lost the ball, and he lost the ball quite a lot. I don't know if it's him I just happened to notice. But yeah, it was really frustrating for me today, and I was a bit annoyed when Mcgeady came on, and it wasn't for Embleton because I thought he would just come in there, settle us down a bit, and control it. Yeah, I wasn't impressed at all today by Embleton.
Yeah. Kyle.
Yeah, and you made a lot of good points there. I didn't feel like he played as poorly, but I think he suffers from a lot of the things that some of our other wingers and attacking players suffer from, in that we just think like we can just go through players as if they're made of gas or something, because it's just so many times we make the good run, we get through, and then we just end up hitting the player in front of us every single time. When we need to just hold on to the ball for another half step, get a little extra space before playing the ball. but we just seem to be pulling the trigger a little too quickly. And I mean, so many times the ball just gets deflected, or like I said, just careens right off the nearest player, which is frustrating because if we play the ball better into space, we'll have plenty of more attacking opportunities. But as we saw today, every time we tried getting the ball, and Embleton was one of them, made a good turn, had space, and then just right to the other team, and it's just super frustrating. So I think if I've warranted, I'm just going to be a little bit nicer because I like Embleton a lot and give him a 6. But I don't blame you for a 5.
Patrick Roberts kind of played as wing back, I think, on the left-hand side. Obviously, Gooch was on the right. Had one chance in the game. Nice move from Sunderland. It was Pritchard that played it through, and it was a good save from Carson, who I think used to play for us. Could be wrong on that. But I think
he did.
Yeah,
he did.
But other than that, had the beating of his man on a few occasions, but didn't do too much offensively. So again, 6, John.
Yeah, I'd probably go with 6. I still think he was quite bright, and actually wanted to go forward and actually beat his man quite well. Just maybe we need a bit more of an end product for for the type of player and the quality player that obviously is there. But yeah, I'll go with 6.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, I think he is one of those players in our squad who, and it hasn't quite come to fruition yet, but he can make something out of absolutely nothing. And at this point in the season, I think that's exactly what you need. So I just hope that, like you said, he can get his scoring boots on, because he would be an ideal role to kind of play in a more an attacking design with Broadhead out, and I think he could fill that position pretty well. Because I don't think it can be Pritchard. I think Pritchard has. We'll get to that, but yeah, I think overall he played well, and sometimes he gets the ball and is able to beat his man, and I'm like, how the hell did he do that? So just more of that from Roberts, and if he can get some goals on him, I think we will have a hell of a player in him.
Yeah. On to Pritchardon, who had very little to do in the game. Again, that pass through to Roberts was kind of the only chance he created. Had a free kick that I said before he took it. This was going in. He didn't hit the wall. So again, another 6, John.
Yeah, I'll go for 6. Obviously, again, a lot of stuff didn't come off, but I think when he's in the team, I think the press is so much better, and he sort of leads the way. I think he did a lot of work to stop sort of Morecambe obviously playing through there. It was just sort of an away dogged performance from him with a few sort of flashes of quality. So yeah, we'll give him 6.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yep. Yeah, it's another very Pritchard-like performance, and like I said, I think he's another one too who's going to just have to step up even more than he has, because he's been incredible. But if Broadhead is going to be out, he has to step up as well. I think his one opportunity, he got the ball in the box. It was great passage of play, really, and I thought he was going to shoot it, and instead he does find a brilliant pass to Roberts, who didn't quite have the angle. I would have, if we're having that same sort of opportunity in the playoffs, I would like him just to shoot that, because he has the ability to score. Outside of that, yeah, 6 is just about as fair as you can get for him. I think he played well, though.
Yep. Broadhead obviously scored the only goal in the game. Went off fairly early with that injury, but I'd probably say a 7 for them 25 minutes, John.
Yeah, not too bad. We're obviously probably around about a 6, but we'll knock him up to a 7 for the drop of the shoulder and sort of racing through and goal and slotting it in. So we touched on earlier, very, very good finish. Again, we pray that he makes a miraculous recovery and he's available to at least give us half an hour on Friday night next week.
Yeah, Kyle.
I would willingly donate my both hamstrings, to be honest, to to graft into him to get him back, because he was just been so vital for us. And like you said, imagine what the season could have been like if he just stayed healthy the entire season. But I don't know. Hopefully, it was just one of those things where he knows his body and it was a precaution, and he goes down early knowing that okay, it feels a little tight. But I'm not sure if we've heard anything from Alex Neil yet. But fingers crossed, everything crossed. Knock on wood. It just please, broadband up the broadband. We need him.
Yeah, hopefully so. And last but not least, Ross Stewart, 6 out of 10 again, John.
Yeah, well, again, worked hard, but not a lot really came off. He's going down a little bit too easy, because I think people are sort of seeing, referees especially, that he's not really getting those fouls. So I think sometimes he's just got to be stronger, because to be fair, he does hold his man off a couple of times. But yes, it's a weird one because I think sort of last week against Cambridge, he looked fit as a fiddle. Midweek, he's obviously had a good battle with the Rotherham centre backs, and then today just looked slightly off it, just a little bit. Probably unlucky not to score with a deflection.
Yeah.
But hopefully he can get a week, a week's rest, and then sort of fresh for Sheffield Wednesday at home.
Yeah. And Kyle.
Sorry, it was muted there. Yeah, it's just it didn't quite get the service. I don't think he really had very many opportunities, but I think it's good that we were able to get him off early because he just needs a little bit of a rest. But you would just like to see just some different types of balls through, especially through the middle. We're just not seeing anything through the middle or on the pitch. He's as good as he is in the air. Teams have figured that out, and I would just like to see more service at his feet where he can take that first touch and he's got the long strides to kind of burst away and beat through on the keeper. But we just haven't seen that for a while.
Yeah. Thank God them play Britain's over because that was very tedious to go through them. But like we've said a few times now, it's Sheffield Wednesday that we are going to be playing in the playoffs, and I think most people kind of knew that would happen before the game, but it's confirmed now. At home on the Friday, away on the Monday. I think that was the one team I would have wanted us to play in the playoffs. I know some people wouldn't have. But obviously, we absolutely battered them at home, and granted, we got battered away from home. But I think they're a team that, if we're on our game, we can beat. That said, I think we can beat most teams in this league. But I think Sheffield Wednesday, I'm not going to say Sheffield because I know that annoys them, isn't a bad draw for us. But I know, like I said, a few people wouldn't agree with that, John. Is that the best kind of outcome we could have got from the playoffs at the moment?
I'm not too sure. I think anyone at the Stadium Light, I think and there's not being big headed, but I think we should be like comfortable that we can go on and put performance and beat anybody. And then with the new manager, even though he's only been here sort of since February, I think we can go to teams and we can stifle them, and we've got the players on the attack as well, so we can always. I think we're always good for a point away from home, but I think we've still got the quality that we can nick it. If we do up it a level. Sheffield Wednesday is still probably the proper informed team, in the playoffs like us. But I doubt they're going to relish coming to the Stadium of Light after what happened. When we smashed them 5-0. So, and at the end of the day, if you want to get out of this league, you can't really fear anyone. You've got to go and you've got to go and beat those teams. So the onus is on Alex Neil and the team to go out there, and doesn't matter who we're playing. It's if we're at home, play our way and do it our way, and we can happily set up for a point at their place, and I think it's doable. And I'm really got any worries. I used to really worry about games. I see a lot of people nervous and that type of thing, but I try not to get nervous anymore and just think, the onus is on them to go and show us they can do it, because we know they can, but they've got to go and prove it.
Yeah, obviously people, let's say, away at home in the first leg of the semi-final, away for the second. People talk about the advantage or disadvantage you get from that. Obviously, with Sheffield Wednesday being at home in the second leg, you know what you have to do because you've already played the first leg. You know what is required to go on and reach the final. But is that really much of an advantage? If Sunderland are at home first, they're going to know they're going to need to win the game. If Sunderland go and win 5-0 again, what difference does it make if you're at home for the second leg? What you've got to do either way.
Right, and I think back when we were first in League One, we played Portsmouth, right? And I think it was the same thing, right? They were kind of the home team, so to speak, for that second leg, and we were able to, we nailed out
a very tedious game.
Right. Oh my God. But I think especially going back to who would you rather play and things like that, I would much rather have 2 legs against Sheffield than just a 1-game final, right, against a team like Sheffield, because we know what they're capable of, or we can at least still make adjustments over the course of 2 legs versus the Wembley final. And I know we have a lot of work to get there, but if we were ever going to beat them, I like 2 chances against them versus just 1 and a do or die because of how they've been playing. Yeah, and regardless too, I know their fans have been incredible. They're going to bring a lot down to the Stadium of Light, and even their home team crowd is incredible as well. So it's not going to be one of those where we're going to feel outnumbered by any means, because I know our fans will show up as well. But yeah, it's a tough one. But like I said, I like having two goes against them versus just a one leg playoff final, really. And we shall see.
Yeah. I'm just glad, to be honest, that we don't have to watch 180 minutes. Well, I say 180, it'd be more like 240 minutes of football against Wickham, personally.
Oh God. Well, yeah, can you imagine if they're the ones who make it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, it's good. I'm glad that we at least got the Friday slot. That just gives us a little bit of extra time.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting too. I have no idea with MK Dons and Wickham. I just don't know. I just don't feel like either of those teams. I know MK, has done well this season. I just don't even think they're that good, to be honest. Not compared to, I think Sheffield is, us and Sheffield are the best in the bunch in that.
I think, obviously, there's a long way to go before the final.
Right,
But I think
right.
if you were to play a team in, obviously, the final in one game, who would you fancy to beat them all? I would probably say I'd fancy us to beat MK Dons over Wickham, purely because they are a
What
football
Wickham would do.
team.
Yeah, exactly. Wickham it would be
I
horrible.
think we can out football any team in this division, and I think that's the type of players that we have. But we can't out Wickham.
That is spot on. That's absolutely spot on. Yeah, and like you said, the two games against Sheffield, and then whatever may come out of that. But I absolutely agree. Yeah, if I never have to play Wickham again, I would just be as happy as could be.
I'm sure.
I wouldn't be too worried about Wickham. If you take them to Wembley, that's a different pitch to what they play on. We could stretch that with the players we got, and I wouldn't be too, if the players that they've got, up front. I think it's probably a different ball game with Bailey Wright in there, who we didn't have when we drew Friel. Callum Doyle's probably been marked down as a weak link. You put Danny Barth, Luco 9, and Bailey Wright at the back. That's a different ball game for Wickham to deal with. And I think, to be fair, in the air, we probably deal with them, sort of quite well. So, stretch them out on the Wembley pitch. I don't think that's too bad, to be fair. MK Don's probably be a good game, sort of toe to toe, but like you guys said, we've got two massive games to go first. And the last thing I'll probably touch on is with the Broadhead injury. I was just reading a minute ago that Alex Neil's not really giving anything away, but I think the big giveaway for me was taking Ross Stewart off, because that does not happen. As soon as we took Stewart off, we knew the ball was not going to stick in any way up top. And you're taking Ross Stewart off, I think, obviously for a reason, because what do you come off for? Sort of 10 minutes, a bit more, sorry. That's not really, is not really a break, is it? I think there's probably more bad news on the Broadhead front, which wouldn't surprise me if you're taking your top scorer off, which hasn't happened all season.
Yeah. Just before we finished off there, John, obviously, like I say, home to Sheffield Wednesday on Friday. Alex Neil is a manager that does like to change the team around and does certainly take it on a game-by-game basis, which has worked so far. But with this being a playoff game, there's no points, there's no playing for a draw, there's nothing like that. Well, there is playing for a draw, but there's no points. How does Sunderland go into this game? How does Alex Neil set them up? Do you set them up with, Pritchard, Embleton, Roberts, Clark, Stewart, and try and score as many goals as you can at home? Or do you try and keep it solid in midfield? You've got Evans, Matete, whoever else. How do you set up for the first leg?
I think you've got to go with your attacking players. If you get a sort of a 2 to 3 goal, that's quite generous. Sort of cushion lead. They know they're going to have to come up here and try and stay in the game to obviously stay in the tie. I don't think they're going to come up here and necessarily play, sort of toe to toe football, because I think, on paper, barring sort of Barry Bannon, not just singling them out as a one man team, but if you can,
he did get injured.
Yeah, so he is, but you never know with us. They'll probably get some loan bloody Kevin De Bruyne
emergency
in
loans.
Bloody De Bruyne will come in and have a storm. But I think at home, we've got to puff our chests out, and I think Alex Neil is like that. It's on us. The onus is on us. The fans will be expecting it, and I think you have to have that ambition to think at home. Doesn't matter who we're playing, obviously within reason, but we should be able to go in and put any team, well, at least win the game. Win the game, and then you've got to then believe in yourself that you can go to Hillsborough, which is a really tough place. But I think when we went there and we lost 3-0, I think we were still fairly quite open. Johnson was very naive, hence why we got smashed by Rotherham, got smashed by Bolton, and there's probably one or two others. I probably can't remember. But I think exactly, yeah, it was what a shit day. But yeah, do you know what I mean? I don't think Alex Neil, hindsight, but I don't think Alex Neil goes there and those results necessarily happen. I think he's more, let's respect the point, and if we do nick it, that's fine. But yeah, at home, I think you've got to puff your chest out and you've got to go for the win, and I certainly expect us to do that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Obviously, each game now is the biggest game of the season. Hopefully, this is the one that ends how we want it to, but we'll see. So that game is on Friday, so Saturday we will get a podcast out to talk about the first leg, and on the Tuesday we'll have a podcast out to talk about the second leg, and hopefully look ahead to the final. But there's a long way to go, 180 minutes minimum of football to be played between now and then. Anything can happen, anything can change, so we'll see. But that is all the time we have for today. We'll be back to talk about that first leg at the weekend, but until then, we will see you there.
That's all, folks.